Hey guys, welcome back to Scareticulous. So if you guys haven't seen the news recently about the new Coyote vs. Acme film that was previously shelved by Warner Brothers for a tax write-off, and then it was picked up by Ketchup Entertainment, and it's going to be put out next year, which is great news. Basically, this is a story about the underdog fighting for their rights. There's an article by Empire that basically says that the makers of the movie are going to reveal what makes Wile E. Coyote tick. They want to get into his soul. The funny thing is about Wile E. Coyote is, if there was any Looney Tunes character that I would say is the living embodiment of the human soul, I would say, funnily enough, it would be Wile E. Coyote. Maybe second to that would be like Daffy Duck or something, because he's always losing too. But I feel like he loses more due to his own personality and, you know, his quirks of just kind of being very disagreeable. You know, just a very Philly person. He's very Philly. But Wile E. Coyote, you know, he's clearly trying to do something, right? And the cartoons, they kind of work a little bit as like a metaphor for someone trying to accomplish a task. They're trying to achieve something, right? In Wile E. Coyote's case, he wants to capture the Roadrunner. That's kind of always been the thrust of nearly every Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And he enlists the help of the Acme Corporation to help him using all these devices and weapons and stuff to better aid him in, you know, making that dream a reality, right? And yet it never, ever comes true. It always evades his grasp, usually because the products themselves, the Acme products, don't work. They are faulty. So this new film basically sets out to make a story out of that basic setup for every Wile E. Coyote cartoon, which is pretty brilliant. The only thing that might be a little bit worrying at this point is this a concept that can work on a cinematic level? Is it something that can work for a full feature-length film? Because it sounds like something you might see in like an SNL skit or something, right? That lasts like 3 or 4 minutes and then it's over. But they're expanding this concept for an entire feature-length film. So it has to be something that's going to, you know, ground people. It has to be something that we're going to want to stick with the story for an hour and a half. And I know the thematic punch of this film and exactly what it's going to be like and why it's actually going to be a success. I'm going to tell you guys why Coyote vs. Acme is going to be a success. It's going to be an amazing movie, and it might even be the best Looney Tunes movie ever created. Yes, even better than Space Jam. Director Dave Green, he kind of gets people excited about the new movie, saying, you know, when we grew up watching him, there was something kind of villainous about him. He tells Empire, we want to pop that myth and get into his soul and show you what really makes him tick. And the results, he promises, are very laugh-out-loud funny and have you firmly on hashtag Team Coyote. Now, I was thinking to myself, okay, how are we going to feel anything for Wile E. Coyote? He doesn't talk. He's probably not going to say anything. He's probably just going to mug for the camera, right? And usually, you know, it basically devolves into a bunch of gags about him getting, you know, blown up or flattened or whatever, right? Falling off a cliff. That's not really enough to make us feel sympathy. So what exactly is going to make us feel for Wile E. Coyote? And the answer to that question is Will Forte. Now, they're not really talking a whole lot about this in the promotion of the movie. They're not really laying out the story for us, you know, really telling us exactly what it's about. We haven't even seen a trailer yet, right? We've only seen like pictures and stills and stuff like that. Very limited amounts of information do we even, you know, really know about the movie itself. We have the basic setup. Wile E. Coyote, he has an attorney played by Will Forte. The character's name is Kevin Avery. He basically is this struggling, down on his luck human lawyer, and he represents Wile E. Coyote in court. And now Will Forte, he's going to serve as the emotional core of the story, because Kevin Avery, the character in the movie, is basically one of those billboard lawyers, the ones that, you know, they're not terribly successful. They're just kind of like, they can, you know, take what they can get in terms of like business. So, you know, he's probably going to be struggling in the movie somewhat, but clearly you can tell he wants something. He's struggling to attain a goal, to be a successful lawyer, right? He's not quite getting there. Sound familiar? Then there's going to be Lana Condor, who plays Paige, which is Kevin's niece in the movie. I've looked up Lana Condor, and apparently she's Asian, so I don't know how that's going to work out, but maybe he'll have like Asian family or something. I don't know. But basically, she's probably going to play like the more optimistic, supportive character that's pushing Kevin to believe in himself, right? That's also going to be pushing Wile E. Coyote's character, because what goes to to Will Forte's character is going to also translate to Wile E. Coyote. They're basically mirrors of each other. Wile E. Coyote, he's going to be mugging for the camera. He's going to, be making emotional expressions, and I think this movie is really going to play on Wile E. Coyote's emotionality, like his ability to emote. I mean, the thing about cartoons that's great about them is you can get them to make lots of crazy expressions and do things that you just couldn't do in the real world. They're going to push more subtle animations, I think, with Wile E. Coyote here and there, even though typically they usually push more wild expressions from him, right? So this is going to play into like a bit of a heartstring pulling subplot that kind of ties Kevin's arc together along with Wile E. Coyote. Added to that, what's going to be a great foil is John Cena's character, Buddy Crane. Basically, he plays Acme's corporate lawyer. He's basically plays this tough, polished, perfect physical embodiment of corporate might and power, right? There's even an image of him squeezing Tweety Bird in his hand, just to show how much he's trying to crush the little guy, right? He's the main competition, and he is Will Forte's foil. He's basically, I think he plays Kevin Avery's former boss at his old company or whatever. So he basically serves as, like an antagonist role in the film that is a great foil for both Wile E. Coyote and Kevin Avery. Then you have a supporting cast, PJ Byrne, Tone Bell, Martha Kelly, and then Luis Guzman, who's always great. So you're going to have a very interesting vibe in this film. It's not going to feel like your typical Looney Tunes fare where it's just a ridiculous movie. This is actually set in the real world where there's real stakes, right? They have a real courtroom. You're going to have an actual case that they're going to be arguing back and forth. Now, I don't know exactly how they're going to make that super dynamic and animated when they're all stuck in one room. I assume it's going to be a little bit more complex than that. There's going to have other scenes outside of that. This also does, bring in things like the Roadrunner. I mean, I feel like that's the question nobody's really asking, but I'm asking it. Where's the Roadrunner in all this? Because the Roadrunner would be a perfect foil for Wile E. Coyote in this movie. The Roadrunner basically represents this top level of success, and also represents the goal that Wile E. Coyote was never able to achieve in the cartoons, right? He was never able to obtain that goal. It's just out of his grasp, right? And we can all relate to this, as if we were ever the underdog trying to achieve something that was difficult or hard to achieve, and something's just always out of your grasp. I think we can all relate to that. So I would love if there were like flashes of the Roadrunner here and there, like maybe like an ad on TV where it's just clear he's doing, amazingly successful, and Wile E. Coyote is just like flipping through channels like, oh, I'm not this guy again. Like, it kind of reminds me of the movie Kingpin, if anyone's seen that, with Woody Harrelson and Bill Murray. There's a few times where Woody Harrelson, he's like the down and out bowler who lost his hand a long time ago, and Bill Murray is like a huge successful bowling champion, and he sees him on TV and stuff in like all these ads getting tons of money, and he just looks like so happy, and he's surrounded by babes. And Woody Harrelson's just like racked with jealousy, right? I feel like it would be a great situation like that. And that movie is great too because it does have an underdog type of feel to it where we want to see him succeed. And I feel like that's something we've never had in a Looney Tunes movie before, maybe besides Space Jam, where it was obvious, like once the aliens, the Monstars, like became these huge hulking, antagonists, that's when we knew, okay, they're clearly out of their depth. They need help, right? And that's when they had affable yet poor acting Michael Jordan help them out with their basketball game. They were just like these loony, like characters that had no idea what the hell they were doing. They were almost like innocent in a way, which is kind of strange because there's like this sardonic sarcasm to all the Looney Tunes characters in their original cartoons where they always know what's going on. They're always the smartest characters in the cartoon. That's just something like they were not able to outsmart their way out of, right? Bugs Bunny, he didn't have a quip or a mallet he could just pull out to just whack them. So they had to solve it some other way. There was actual stakes in that movie where they would have been enslaved. So we related to them, in that way. And that was how we were able to, kind of root for the Looney Tunes success in Space Jam. But in this movie, this is way more of a personal, relatable situation where there's an actual down-to-earth court case going on where someone who's typically seen as a loser, and who knows, this could play into all the other, Looney Tunes characters treating Wile E. Coyote like he's a loser in the movie. So I think that that's an interesting idea for a movie and something that I'm actually very curious about seeing on screen. And I really hope that they play it off because this has the potential to be an amazing film. Added to that, the whole meta commentary aspect where Warner Brothers shelved this movie, basically, you know, shoved it under the table. They wrote it off as like a tax write-off thing. And then it was never seen again until people were like, hey, you know, can we get this movie? And then people started a whole hashtag about it, got, you know, mad on Twitter. And now it's finally going to be released, right? It's actually going to be published by Ketchup Entertainment. And the meta commentary aspect is the movie itself is about underdogs being, you know, ignored, pushed aside, and just like acted like they don't matter. That's exactly what happened to this movie. Mind blown. Literally, a corporation ignored this movie. That's exactly what is happening to Wile E. Coyote in the context of the film, where Acme is like ignoring, you know, his concerns. I'm sure it'll be characterized by John Cena's character, but I hope there's a little bit more to it. Like maybe the actual corporation like has a spokesperson or something like that comes out. I mean, I don't know exactly how that's going to all shake up, but hopefully they characterize Acme in a bit more tangible terms in the movie. Because it's always like this kind of, you know, ethereal thing. Like we don't really know what it's just like this name that represents a corporation in Wile E. Coyote cartoons. We don't actually ever see it, right? So we don't really know the character of it other than that it makes poorly made products that are shitty at capturing Roadrunners, right? But I mean, hell, the Roadrunner even had its own internet company. I mean, goddamn, I would be jealous too. So I hope that this movie ends up being great. I'm excited for it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you excited to see this movie? Do you think it's going to be the best Looney Tunes movie of all time? Let me know in the comments below. Please hit the thumbs up, and I'll see y'all next time on Scareticulous. Later.